myself Avdoot Kumar, and I'm sharing my experience with The Walking Dead and how we created the zombies for The Walking Dead. And this is basically my experience with the pipeline and the whole development of zombies. As a lead character artist, what we went through design-wise and art-wise, so it's all there. So I'm going to start with the introduction to the studio. I don't know if you guys know Starbreeze Studios. Anyone? Yeah, Grua guys, yeah. These are the topics I'm going to cover. It's like studio background, and then I'm going to show you the game launch trailer. Then how we went for the zombies, initial concepts, ideas, game design for the walkers, and then final concepts, production pipeline, final walkers, the final result, and what we are planning next, and then the rest of the things, and then questions. So Starbreeze Studios, it's a video game development and publishing studio based in Stockholm, and we publish and develop a lot of games. I think these are the list I compiled from basically from the Starbreeze website. So Payday, I think a lot of people, or all of you guys might have played Payday. Anyone? Okay, a lot of Payday players. So that's the best game ever developed by Starbreeze and Overkill. List of the games, some of them are in pre-production and some of them are released. So this is Starbreeze and Overkill. This is Starbreeze publishing VR titles. So we work with Star VR. This is Starbreeze publishing, so Dead by Daylight and Raid, a few of the some names. System Shock 3 is gonna be in production soon. If you want to know more about Starbreeze, the website, and if you want to know more about the game, The Walking Dead, it's the website link. All right, so I'm gonna start with the game launch trailer.
The world fell fast. The ones who stayed dead were lucky, because the ones who turned killed whoever was next to them.
It's coming.
Families ripped apart by their own. Survival. It's not easy anymore. There's no code, no honor, no rules. What's left is chaos and cruelty. And in this world, the future looks bleak. You need to change that. But there are those who would stop, those who enjoy the new world. To help us all, you need to fight back.
So that was the trailer, game launch trailer. I'm gonna start how we started for the production, and I'm gonna start from the initial concepts we had. With the initial concepts, I'm gonna cover like initial concepts, reference, comparison, and then starting at how we started basically. So these were the 10 zombies, and initially done. And we had no idea how we are going to do it, how we're going to produce it and put it in the game. And we had a lot of ideas like, okay, we can copy Left 4 Dead or something like that, how to make the gore system and all that stuff. So we just had the concept, but no idea how to implement that and make it work in the engine. We went for 5 males and 5 female zombies. And then we conceptualized like how we are going to go for the base bodies and then a clothing version, and how we could do all the dirt and blood and gore system on top of that using shaders and stuff. So we had a lot of ideas, but we didn't know how we were going to implement in the engine. So this is one of the base zombies concept we did, and you can see we lined up like the base versions, and then how the dirt is going to come up, and how the blood is going to come up, and how the final zombie is going to look. So these were all initial concepts. Then this is what we visualized for the internal gore mesh, that we can put a gore mesh inside, and then we could do some hide and hide things, which when you shoot the zombie, it's going to show off gore and all that stuff. Those were just initial ideas. Then we did a reference comparison from other zombie-based games, which from the past or from the future, like Dying Light, Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead is a very good example because their gore system was so good. They had a lot of variations within that system. So, and then we also compare like how many classes of zombies we are going to make. So, because we need to show almost 200 to 300 plus zombies on the screen, and so how to and that creates a memory impact in the engine, and we had no idea like how we are going to do it. So we could we create like 10 copies or 5 copies or 3 copies and then keep multiplying them, and so on. So we went on for comparison, and that's really good because it's still a game, and it's not comparable to the Walking Dead show or something else. So after this comparison, we worked on these zombies initially without any basic idea how we are going to finish and end up these in games. But any of these never made it in the game, and it happens in development. You start with something and it never shows up in the final game. The problem with these zombies were nothing in the art-wise, but they didn't suit the Walking Dead environment, which we initially thought of. So, for example, you can see the zombie without the teeth, the down one. This is not going to suit the gameplay because zombies has to like bite you or something to kill you. If it doesn't have teeth, it's not going to work well. And some of the zombies are so have specific looks that we wanted to be we wanted to avoid. Because when you create a horde of 200 zombies, we don't want to make them look like they are repeating themselves. So then we, after all those tests and initial zombies, then we had like lots of meetings, and then when we talked with design and everyone else in the team, like how we want it. Then we sit with narrative and direction, like we need to set up art bible and stuff. So narrative told us like this is the kind of zombies or walkers we need in the game. They are real people, but they are dead. So we can't go for any too much stylized version of it and all the stuff. So we defined few walkers. So this is the design. So we ended up with standard walkers, classes of walkers. Standard walkers, which are basically the generic ones, very generic ones. Lurkers, basically the standard walkers, but they have a different gameplay design, same as crawlers. Those were the standard ones, but different gameplay design. And then we went for special zombies. Those were named Bloater and Armored. I'll tell you guys later what they were. So these were the standard walker. I don't know if you guys can read it. So these standard walkers were like, we thought of multiplying them a lot in the game, more than 300 or 200. They are gonna make the most of the crowd, and they cannot climb. You can see. So they only die with the headshot. I'm just telling you the main game design features. They cannot climb, and they have slow movement. Okay, grabs players when within range. So all of the zombies, they do the same, but they are the standard ones. They can walk. So what are crawlers? Crawlers are when you shoot the zombie and he lost his 2 legs, and then he's gonna crawl. So he's gonna switch the animation to crawling, and then he can grab you from the ground. Sometimes you don't notice like a zombie is, you hit a zombie on the legs, and then you don't notice there's a zombie on the floor, and then he grabs you. So that was a nice game design. And then we had lurkers. They are like stuck into something or stuck in some tree or something or in the game environment, and they are not immediate threat, but they are there in the environment. But if they get free, when the players are close by, they would turn into a standard or a crawler when you shoot them. Then we went for this is the special one. They do not really match up with the Walking Dead environment, but we have to because otherwise it gets boring. You know, you just kill the zombies and then you run away or continue with the game. And so to make it gamify, basically, we have to go. We have to add special zombies. So this is Bloater. You can see we got the reference from Left 4 Dead. They had a boomer and then State of Decay. And then we went for the design, which was actually in the Walking Dead show. If you guys seen it or not, there was a zombie in the well. They pull it out and it was like full of water. And so the initial concept was based on that. So what it does is it states like Bloater zombie based on the well water, the Walking Dead show. And when it gets damaged, it bursts up. It makes the players blind. So you cannot see for a few seconds because you're all blurred with his blood and gore. And then the other zombies might grapple you, and try to eat you. So that blinds you for a few seconds. To avoid these, to tackle these, you can hit them from a distance. Don't go closer. So this was the concept in the start. And then Armored Walker, this one was also based on like referenced by other games, but what we wanted is to like the toughest zombie to kill because he's all armored and he has a helmet, so you have to shoot the helmet, and then you shoot the helmet off, then you can shoot in the head. But it's still very tough to play with. So when he's around, like just don't go near. Based on all those design documents and game design for the walkers, we went for concepts, final concepts. So we defined two categories: generic walkers, which are standard lurkers, crawlers, and then special walkers, bloater and armored. Then these are generic walkers. So the heads and the clothing. What we thought of initially that we are going to avoid any bright colors or any saturated colors because we are going to make a very big horde out of them, and we wanted to give them a very generic look, so we can make a big crowd. And then on top of that, we went for a few more changes in these concepts. For example, the one wearing the sweatshirt, we made them as a separate part because if we repeat these three, they're still gonna be like very repetitive. So you can see the zombie, which is like open shirt again and again. So what we did is we removed the shirts later on and add them as a separate part. And then we added the functionality in Unreal, so we can switch off and on those parts, and then have one zombie with the sleeveless version and one with the shirt on. Then we did the same with the sweatshirt one, and the same with the female zombie. So you can hide like the sweatshirt, and you can hide the skirt as well. Those were the heads concepts, with the hair, without the hair. So we had a discussion like, should we keep hair or not? Because hair, shading wise, it's the most complex thing to produce, and it takes a lot of memory. But we went for it. The reason we went for the hair is it adds a nice silhouette, and then we added it as a part, separate part, like the shirt and the skirt, so we can switch on and off, and then we get more variety out of it. These are a few of the final head variations. So these are the comments by art director and how he wants a specific look. For example, the upper part of the head needs to be more rounder. The female one, the middle one needs to be like a little bit like not so fresh zombie. So she's dead, she's zombie, but not for too long. And the last one with the open mouth and the ugly teeth, she's the one is like zombie for like 6 months. She's the most decayed one. That's how we decided. Like, so first one is a fresh one, second one is a less fresh one, and the third one is a decayed one. And then here you can see like the concepts with the shirt and with the sweatshirt on and off, and with more color variations. Like we didn't go for more like saturated, like yellow, red, or anything else, which you can spot and easily detect like it's repeating. Same we did for the for these zombies. We can see it's sleeveless, and then with the shirt, and then the female versions with the shirt on and off, and then the skirt on and off. This one is a bloater, so we went for two versions. One is shirt, one is without shirt. No idea why, but just to add variations. It doesn't add too much to silhouette, so it appears almost similar in the game. Then this is the armored one, and then it has a face inside and the helmet, and it's a very tough guy to kill. Then we also experimented with the horde possibilities. So since like the tech team were like pushing us, like we cannot have 6 zombies or 4 zombies or any number, because in the end we wanted it to be optimized and put it in the engine. So it was taking a lot of memories. So we initially planned for 9 zombies, then we went down for 6. And then at last, looking at the whole memory budget, we decided that we can only go for 3. These are the possibilities of horde. Like if we have 4 zombies, how could we go about color and variations? With the 3, how many zombies and how should we go about this? So we can keep multiplying those. And then with 2 zombies. And then we also decided on male or female. That was a tough decision. So we decided to go for 2 females and 1 male. But that's just very subjective. Like some people said, like go for 2 males or 1 female. But then we decided to go for 2 females and 1 male. And then in the end, we produced actually 6 of them, which are 3 males and 3 females. So production pipeline, we used Maya 2017, ZBrush R7, Substance Painter, Photoshop, very basic industry tools. And then engine was Unreal version 4.18. And then team only on these zombie creations, 3 to 4 artists and 5 to 6 tech and design people. And then the process brief is gonna go like this. So we start with the concepts, obviously, and then the concept gets approved from narrative and art direction. And when it gets approved, it comes to us, the character team, and then we do a reference board. Then we send it back to art direction to tell them that this is how we are going to go for it. And then after their approval, we go into high poly stage, and that's the most expensive stage to produce any asset. And then we go for low poly UVs. That's pretty standard pipeline. And then we go for the wounds. So wounds are entirely separate thing. So first we go for the whole body, which I showed in the concept. And then we go for the wounds. So wound design is a separate thing from the initial zombie thing, but it's a major part of it because that makes a zombie and that makes the whole gameplay. Because when you're going to shoot, the wounds are going to show up. We created the Maya files. Then the Maya file, what we did in the Maya file, we sent it to rigging at the same time, and then it went into texturing at the same time. We used vertex colors to define zones because we wanted more color variations out of it. So to do the color variations, we divided one zombie into 3 zones. So one is head, one is upper body, one is lower body, and then we gave them RGB zones, and then we added colors based on that. So when it goes in the engine, in the blueprint, we can have options to change colors for head, basically the skin parts. We give them red, and the upper clothing we give them blue and red and green, and then it was blue. Then we created LODs after the rigging and skinning done, and then it goes to wounds blueprint, and then it goes to variation blueprint, and then it's the final asset in the game. I'm gonna show you in the next few slides in detail. So these were the specs, some basics for the specs. You cannot decide on the fly. It comes from a lot of discussion because we initially tested a lot of zombies, and then we get the feedback from tech team like, okay, it's very heavy. It's very heavy on the memory, and we cannot play it. So if you multiply the number by 300 or something, it's very hard. Without any lighting, without any level, just in the blank level, we tried to produce 200, 300 zombies, and it was very hard to like even simulate. So initially we went for like 4K by 4K and all that crazy stuff, but then we came to like, okay, it's not going to work. So modeling specs were like 22K for the base body, and then we added parts like shirt and all that stuff, so it added a little more. Then 18K tries for wound and gore mesh. So one walker ended up with all the parts variation, everything is 38 to 44K triangle. That's very heavy actually, but we went for it anyways because we decided to deal with it with LODs. So you can see 50% reduction from LOD 0 to the rest of the LODs we went for. And then UVs and textures, it's 2K by 4K, it's a source, and then 1K by 2K, it's an in-game, but it shrinks further as we go for the LODs. Reason being one UV sheet, because for the LOD 0, we went for 3, initially we went for 5 shaders, 4 shaders, sorry, one for skin, one for eyes, one for hair, one for clothing. And then later we decide to, and then different UV sheets and all that stuff. So later we decide to keep one UV sheet. So on the upper part, we kept the head on a very big scale, and then the lower part, we kept all the clothing. Reason being, the zombies can come really close to you, and you can see them very up close. So we wanted the head to be very high resolution. And then materials and shaders, we went for 3 shaders finally, from 5 to 4 to 3, because we wanted to reduce the draw calls to further reduce the memory. So one skin, we use subsurface skin shading. One for clothing. For clothing, we didn't use any fancy shader, simple PBR shader, very generic shader. And one hair, it's Unreal Hair shader, and that was the most complex of all of them. And then for LODs, it was only one shader call with one UV sheet. It was a one generic PBR shader. So now I'm going to show you all the high-res models and the low-res models and wound system, variation system, and the final testing we did in the game. So this is one of the female zombie head we produced. This is second female. This is the third one. So you can see this is the second one, but it is a little bit of middle decayed. This is sort of fresh, and this is the very decayed one. You can see all the bones and everything. Skin is like shrinking, and less hair. One of the male ones, and I think this one is the most decayed one. This one is the middle one, and this one is the fresh one. This is Bloater, the special zombie. And you can see in the corner, it has an exploded version of it as well. But when you shoot, it explodes. It falls down on the floor with all its guts out, and then you will see that version. This is the armored zombie, and his face, the close-up. And then this is the wound design. So we changed. You can see the high-res wound meshes we produced. It went into a lot of changes because so this is the design on the corner, like wound number 0. So we had 14 wounds. Wound 0, wound 1, and wound 2, 3, 4, and so on. So you can see the brain. But what we did later on is, like, when you shoot, it has to, like, go all through. So it doesn't have to be very perfect. So we thought, like, this shape is very perfect. If you're shooting someone, it's not gonna just show up the brain. It's gonna, like, all over the place. So I'm gonna show you guys what changes we did. 0, 1, and 2, and the wound number 11, I'm going to show you in the next page, were for the head wounds. And then rest of them were the body wounds. And then you can also combine the wounds, like you can shoot one arm, you can shoot another arm. Initially, the system didn't allow us to, if you shoot one arm, it was limited by 3 wounds. Only 2 wounds. So if you shoot the head, you only have 1 more wound to hit on the body. And that was failing our design, because if we are going to hit 2 legs, then it goes through crawling, and then you can't basically hit on the head. So we did a lot of changes in the system later on to support our design. So you can see all those wounds. Wound number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And these are in the combination, because you can hit. When you start hitting, it's gonna make the combination appear on the zombie. These are screenshots directly from the Unreal preview. You've seen the high poly of it. So first one is the fresh one. Second one is the less fresh one. You can see the tones on the skin. It's a little bit pale. First one is a little bit red, and the third one is like very decayed. Same for these ones. The first one is the fresh one. Second is a little bit decayed, mid version, and the third one is the most decayed version. We also went for like parts. We also went for different eyeballs. So each zombie has 3 eyeballs, which you can switch in the system to make more variations. So these are the zombies in the game. So I didn't get time to make a fancy video of it, so I just used Unreal's preview. All right, so these were the 3 zombies. One is a generic standard one, and 2 special ones. And this is the wound system. So I'm just gonna play it. It has no sound, so all okay, I think. You guys see it? I think it's very small on the screen now. So here in this system, I'm playing with the wounds and checking them. Like, is everything working, and all the blood decals, because when you shoot, there is a decal assigned to it, which splits the blood onto it. And further down there, you can see we had some limbs assigned. So when you shoot the shoot arm, it's gonna it's gonna fall off on the ground. So we had to make all those meshes as well. So when you shoot the head, it's gonna make a head which is gonna be on the floor, but the problem was, if you're shooting head and if the wound is like this, then you have to produce a similar kind of head on the floor. So we made three generic, very generic heads which suits all the conditions. It was very tough though, but you barely see them, so it was all okay. It looks pretty convincing. So these are the leg wounds one by one, and then I think I also checked the combinations. Yeah, so this is the wound number 15. When it goes into the crawling position, crawling animation, it grabs the player. You can have 3, and then I think you can have one more. Yeah. Yeah, here you can see you can shoot off two wounds at the same time. So to hide and unhide all these wounds, I mean, it's pretty technical, and I'm not a very technical guy. How we laid out the UVs in my eyes, like for the wounds, we had all the wound mesh, and then we cut the UVs where the wound ends, and then we place them in the, so one wound number 0 is in the 0 to 1 space, and then wound number 2 is in the 0 to 1, and then so on. So we had 15, and in the 0 to 15 UV space we laid out. And then in the blueprint, it was hard coded. Like when you switch on, switch off those wound number, it's gonna switch off, switch on that specific space in UV. So that was our wound system, and then this is the variation system. So after the wounds are done, it goes into the variation system where we create variations of the zombies, parts, switch, and then I'm gonna play it. You can switch parts, you can add colors. So for colors, we use a system similar to Photoshop color range, I think, gradient system basically. And we predefined some colors, so we predefined 8 variations of head, 8 variations of upper body colors and lower body. And then the system, when it spawns the zombies in Unreal, it mix and matches random colors. It never spawns the same variations at the runtime. So you can see different blood decals and different colors and parts switch on and off. So this is a different skin, different color. That was our variation system in short. And then we had this system for blueprint for each of the zombies. After this is done, what we do is we took all of them in a level to test them out. So we requested level designs and tech team to create a level for us to test them. Otherwise, it was impossible for us to test the zombies in the horde. Checking zombies one by one is okay, and checking variation one by one is okay, but we want to see, and our direction also wants to see everything together on the screen and how the horde looks like. So I was doing this final testing in Unreal, and what we also did is we created some pre-wounded zombies. So for example, we spawned zombies with already having wounds on arm or on bodies, and it added a lot of variation in the horde, but it also limited the number of shoot it can have on the zombie, because one wound is already rendering, so you are limited to 2 or 3 shots only. So whatever changes we did on the systems, then it went through all those variation, wound, and then it comes back here. So every time we do changes in a low poly or a high poly or anything, we have to check everything again. So you can see lots of pre-wounded zombies, and the horde is not having a lot of saturated colors or bright colors, so it looks like a proper horde, a Walking Dead horde. Now in this you can see all the possible variations of the zombies with different parts. I can find one shining zombie, pretty yellow. I think it's in the game as well. I think the number was in this scene was, I don't know, 60, 70, I don't know. It's good to check with some animation, so we can check if there are problems in the low poly models, or if because the inside wound mesh was separate from the body mesh, it has to align properly. So topology plays a big role, and because if after skinning, if zombie is moving and topology is not matching for the wound mesh and the body mesh, it's gonna like intersect. So it happened a lot of times, and then we went on iterations and then fixed all the stuff. This was the final one, a day before we committed all the final zombies for the game. These are some of the Marmoset screenshots we took for marketing. And these are the same in-game zombies, but more fancy shaders. And we did nothing. It's exactly the game model from Unreal. We posed them in Unreal, and we rendered them in Marmoset with more dramatic lighting. And these are for marketing shots. If you check out the game website, or if you follow Facebook, you will see all those screenshots coming with the patches. And these are the special zombies, the bloater close-up. It's all from Marmoset. So what is next we are planning is, for the zombies, we wanted to make them look good visually. At least that was my goal. But we didn't do a lot of things. What we planned, for example, you don't see any clothing patterns or variation like checkers or stripes or something like that. We want to add that in the next version. Different body types, fat, slim, or something like that. Much better parts variation. So, for example, if you're stitching only eyes, it's a very small visual element on the whole screen. You would only see when someone comes close. Otherwise, you won't see it. So we want to add more parts variation, which adds more to silhouette. So it adds more variety in the horde, and players can see it from a distance. Or maybe a feet without the shoe or with the shoe, something like that. And then more uncommon walkers for the horde variation. For the storytelling, like we cannot add kids, and it's a very big part of the Walking Dead theme. We didn't add it because we didn't have time to skin and retarget all that animations and stuff. So we are planning next. It's in the narrative as well, I think, and I hope we can do it. So storytelling purpose, and then movable wounds, movable hair, cloth with physics, all fancy stuff we would like to add, but we need to optimize the whole system. And that's the next point, because the current system is already very memory intensive. To get the movable wounds, when you shoot, the wound should, it should move. It shouldn't be rigid. And when the walkers with hair, the hair should move. The hair are static, so it looks bad. And then cloth with physics. So if we can do that, it would improve the visuals for sure. And then optimizing the overall system to give us more memory to implement that. And then making things more procedural, like for example, creating the variations and not by hand, but should be done by Unreal itself. Then we will save more time, because right now artists were creating all the variations manually, and then it goes into the system. So we want to cut all those times and make things procedural. So, for example, tile-level patterns and all that stuff should be done inside Unreal with one click, and or at the runtime. So we do not need to worry about it. Obviously, we're going to test it how it looks, because we don't want to send any accidental zombies in the game. So yeah, I just want to thanks to my team, all the character artists, my global producer, and the technical artists who worked on this, and then character team at Dhruva and the Little Red Zombies who contributed to the zombies, and obviously NASCOM gaming community and Mukund for giving me this chance to speak. This is the end. Questions?
You said like the face of the walkers is going to come very near to the characters, right? The player character who's playing the game. So for the hair, you did like full hair cards, or you used a combination of hair cap with cards for flyaway transition, or what did you
It's just haircuts. So
Fully
very
haircuts.
yeah. So budget we defined for like 2,000 triangles, because if they are zombies, they do not need to have full dense hair, which we
Yeah.
went initially with the full dense hair. Then it looked a little bit stupid. Then we searched more. Then because we have to keep it optimized as well, and it's not gonna move, and it has to support the wound as well. So the problem we were having with the hair, another problem was when you shoot the head, it opens the wound, and the hair is floating in the air.
in the
So we have to keep it close, and it's not gonna move. So we cannot have a lot of freedom doing here. We kept it close, very low poly. So because it's zombie, so you can see the kind of skinhead. It's a no problem. It's a zombie.
So when the wound appears, like the hair is a separate mesh that disappears with the head, or like it falls down. What did?
No, when you hit the wound, we kept the hair. So if it's opening up,
Yeah.
then we kept the hair hidden there, so you won't feel it.
Underneath
It's
the
gonna
wound.
stuck. So it feels like it's just with the head. It's not floating anymore. So we did all those adjustments after we checked the zombies and tested in Unreal that okay, it's not working. We need to do the changes. We did the changes, then reskin it, and then redid all that stuff.
Thank you.
So when the player shoots the zombie, different limbs fall down with wounds appearing out. So for that stuff, do you guys like use generic topology for the limbs, or does the topology is changed after the player shoots the zombie in runtime?
It's the same topology.
So like, how did you manage to like tear it apart in such a way that it doesn't look uniform?
It's that's the part I didn't show you. We had a system where when we create the wounds, so you see when you shoot the head, the whole part goes away, right? So we had those booleans in the Unreal. What we did is we set up those booleans, and then it gives us the mesh where it's going to cut from, and then we take it to Maya, then we adjust our wound according to that. And we kept the topology similar. Yes.
Avdoot, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. This is